I dropped my Rolex Explorer 2 and the crystal smashed. The watch has now been serviced by Rolex. It's back with me here. And in here, I have the full itemized bill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what Rolex did and what the process was, and then I'm gonna take you through and show you exactly how much each part of the service cost. What happened was I was out at Loch Lomond taking photographs of the straps, trying to make some promotional material to sell the straps that I have at barkandjack.com. And as I was changing the strap, I dropped the watch, it landed on a rock and completely shattered the crystal. I decided to get the watch serviced by Rolex because it's a modern watch, it's part of their current lineup, and I wanted the watch to perform to its highest possible level. Not that a local watchmaker can do that, but I wanted that to be guaranteed. So I took the watch down to Rolex head office in London and had them look at it. In that appointment, the watch was taken apart and they assessed the damage, assessed what needed to be changed, and they took me through each step. And there was quite a lot of optional parts to that. You hear a lot of horror stories of Rolex forcing you to have certain parts changed. And to be fair, there was an element of that. But there were also a lot of elements of, would you like this to be changed? This is damaged, your options are X. And I was actually really impressed with that. Obviously the case was quite heavily damaged by the rock, but there was nothing within the case or the bracelet that they were forcing me to change. They did mention if the bezel had been damaged in a way that would hinder the water resistance, then they would say that has to get changed. But other than that, they weren't bothered about the scratches and the dents around the whole watch itself. The dial is quite heavily scratched, which I hadn't noticed before, probably because there was just shards of crystal all over the dial, but there was nothing within that damage that would hinder the performance of the watch. However, they noticed that the date disc was heavily scratched as crystal had got between the back of the dial and the date disc itself, and the crystal had started to scratch away at the black paint of the numerals on the date disc. Their concern was if they didn't change the date disc, then actually over time those flakes of paint would eventually fall off and then go inside the movement and damage the movement or stop it from working. So the date wheel was one thing that they essentially forced me to change, but when they laid it out in the way that they did, it just made sense. The concern around the dial was the dial is the main thing that you look at, and so it's obviously a very important part of the watch, and I was in two minds around whether I should change the dial or not. I guess the big deciding factor was the price. So when you change a dial, you can't just change a dial. You change a dial and the handset because it comes as one unit. And that would have added an extra £400 to £500 to the service itself, which is a pretty hefty whack. In hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't change a dial because the scratches on the dial, for me, just add character to it. Let me take you through the pricing of what they laid out. So we've got work performed, and I was really impressed with how they itemize most of the sections. I would have thought there'd just be an overall bill, and that's just what you pay. Their watch analysis was dial scratched, date disc damaged, case dented, bezel scratched, bezel dented, crystal glass cracked, crown scratched, back case scratched, lugs scratched, bracelet scratched. This is a heavily well-worn watch. This is one of my daily watches, and it's been through so many things with me. It's probably my most go-to watch within my collection. So it's well scratched. So the prices are bracelet clean, case clean, 00. It says do not refinish case and bracelet. They've taken the price of that off the service, which when you say it aloud makes complete sense. But I feel like it's one of those things that, I don't know, that was a pleasant surprise. That took £104 and 17p off the price of the service. Replacement crystal is £96, replacement date disc is £68, and then complete overhaul. So I guess a standard service, if they didn't need to do anything, that's including not finishing the case and bracelet, the standard service is £583 and 83 pence. Do bear in mind that's without VAT. So the whole service, including VAT, came to £771 and 79p, which is a good chunk of cash, but actually a lot less than what I thought. In my head, my immediate thought was this is going to be £1,000 job plus the damaged parts. So actually, although it's a big chunk of cash, I was pleasantly surprised. I dropped this watch off to Rolex on the 13th of June, and I got an email back from them to say that the watch was finished on the 28th of June. I was amazed when they quoted 14 days turnaround for the watch to be serviced. And they said that the big part of that is the fact it doesn't need to be polished, because the polishing part adds one, extra cost, but also it adds a massive amount of time to the service itself. So do bear that in mind if you're concerned about getting a watch serviced and how long it's going to take. If you don't want the watch polished, then it just reduces the amount of time massively. The watch came back in this little cardboard box, and it has this handsome little travel pouch. But the cool thing is this NFC card. So rather than them giving you a service card with your serial number on it and the date of the service, you can now hold this up to your phone. It brings up a little link on your phone and it then tells you all the details about the watch. Model number, serial number, reference number, and then the date it was serviced. And it says complete overhaul within the service details. That's pretty cool. I like that idea. So this watch has been restored to functionally its original state. I've got a little time grapher here, albeit an amateur time grapher, but it does give you an idea of how the watch performs. I put this on the time grapher in 6 different orientations, left it for 10 minutes in each orientation, and I was pretty surprised with how it came out. I was a bit concerned at the start because the first orientation showed that this watch was running at 5 seconds fast a day, but actually you average it out across all the orientations. It has an accuracy of 1.3 seconds a day. All in all, this is running exactly how it should be. I'm just pleased. It's nice to have this running how it should be. Now, I've never been a massive fan of this watch on a bracelet. I absolutely love the Rolex bracelets. This is quite a large watch as it is, and the bracelet just gives the appearance that the case is larger than it is. And there's benefits to that situation as well, and that's why often smaller watches, 36mm, 34mm, Rolexes, Omegas, when they have a bracelet on it that fits the case nicely, it then gives the appearance that the watch is larger than it is. In this case, I actually don't like it. So I'm going to put it straight on one of our Bark and Jack straps that you can get over at barkandjack.com. Now, I know people say a one-piece nylon strap is wider than the actual bracelet itself, so surely that makes the watch wear larger. It's just the appearance. When you have a fabric strap or a leather strap, it frames a watch as opposed to adding to the size of the watch. This is on our army green ribbed nylon strap. These are our most robust straps. They are absolutely killer, and that perfectly goes alongside the fact that this is an Explorer 2. Beastly strap for a beastly watch. I'm glad I took this watch to Rolex to get it serviced by them. One, because you get an extra 2-year warranty. I know this sounds like an advert for Rolex. They don't pay me. I'd bloody love it if they did. But I like the peace of mind that you get with the fact that they have all the machines to take it back to exactly how it was. There's no concern about aftermarket parts. You know they are only going to use legit Rolex parts. The customer service that I got from them was phenomenal, so epically professional. They kept calling me Mr. Barker. That felt quite nice. Despite the cost of the dial, I am glad I didn't get it changed because I feel like that just further adds character to the watch. If I was in the mindset of I might sell this watch or I plan to sell this watch, then I would have gone with the idea of just returning it completely back to brand new, getting it polished, getting the dial changed, but I have no intentions of selling this watch, and so all these extra scratches, the big old scuff on the side of the bezel, this all adds to the stories that are in the watch and the character that it has. What are your thoughts on that? Would you have changed the dial? And what are your thoughts on the service itself, the cost and the timing? Were there any surprises there? I was pleasantly surprised at the cost. A lot of money, but a lot less than I thought it would be. Drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you like the style of this video, then hit the subscribe button down there and that bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video. If you want to check out watch straps and watch accessories, jump over to barkandjack.com. And if you're on Instagram, give me a follow at barkandjack, and on TikTok, at barkandjack on TikTok. That's it. I'll see you guys soon. I'm so glad to have this watch back. Absolutely brilliant.